Hey there, welcome to another video on chess. My name is Bharat Divyang from Zugzwang Academy. And in today's video, I want to look at a very important topic, which is positional sacrifices. Uh, what's the difference between a positional sac and, let's say, a tactical sacrifice? Now, in tactics, you'd have seen sacrifice a lot, and in chess, sacrifice plays a big role. So in tactics, when you see a sacrifice, it's usually because it's almost 100% certain that that sacrifice is going to lead to a win. So in other words, it's probably somewhere between a 2 to 5 move sequence where a sacrifice almost definitely elicits kind of response that allows you to either gain material or it leads to a checkmate of some sort. uh, but a positional sack is very different. You sacrifice not with the end in mind, but rather you sacrifice with a principle in mind. So, to exemplify this particular concept, I am trying to, put together a series of positions which have this positional sacks, which will bring this principle out into light. So this is a game between Gusev and Averbach. And if you look at this position, white, has a rook and two bishops against black's double rook and a knight. Things kind of would be roughly equal materially. Maybe black has a slight advantage. And also, it looks like the e6 white pawn, which somehow seems to have gone into the enemy territory, is about to fall thanks to the rook move attacking the queen. So, if you move the queen, pretty much that pawn is gone. And after that, maybe black has a slight advantage. But positionally looking at it, black's position seems to be a little constrained, especially this rook is more or less, a sleeping piece out there. And that's about the overall analysis of this position. So what do you do here? Do you let the pawn fall, or do you think of a sacrifice? And what Gusev did here was a positional sack. He decided to sacrifice his queen for a knight. And the reason why there's a positional sacrifice is pretty much there's no checkmate in sight here. There is no gaining material here. This is purely a belief that the sacrifice is going to lead to a win, because the principle at play here is to restrain the pieces, that the black pieces, they restrain the freedom of the black pieces. So the next move here was rook moving here, threatening a checkmate, and therefore restricting the queen from doing pretty much what he wants to do. So at this point, if black decided to reinforce the attack here, move it here, and you realize that if the queen captures this, then this is a checkmate. That's the reason why the pawn is safe. At this moment, again, it's not 100% sure how the game is going to go, but this is what Gusev played. The idea being now, okay, the rook is going to control this, queen is free to capture this, but if he does that, then the bishop coming here means that the queen is dead, and therefore you could end up equalizing or maybe have a more stronger attack, right? And the only way out of this particular position seemed to be like this pawn push. Pawn comes here, rook comes here, attacking the pawn. If he takes this, you take this, and then this particular pawn push here could be really devastating, right? So this is what you're trying to avoid at all costs. So this comes in, and at this point he moves back. Queen comes here, threatening to bring it here, and he stops it at this point. What would you do here? What would be your next move if you were playing black? And if you can think of it, it's like the constraint that has been played here is really high, right? So at this point, like the restriction is that the queen is forced to be in touch with this particular square, because otherwise a checkmate is going to happen. Okay, and there's nothing much that black can absolutely do. Like almost every other move that he can think of is pretty much done. Right, so at this point he just moved back. Pawn takes, bishop takes, and then you start pushing this pawn. The idea being that the pawn push here at some point is going to constrain, and he's going to run out of moves eventually. So this is the challenge of being able to play this game, because at some point there'll be a pawn here and there'll be a pawn here, and if he takes this one, then that promotes, and if he doesn't, then the other one. Pawn push to e7 pretty much ensures that that's a checkmate here. And the real clincher here is because the position is so constrained, and it's a 10 move uh, combination. Just that it's not a combination, it's more like applying the principles of restraining your opponent's pieces and not letting him do pretty much anything he wants to do. So that's the power of positional sacs. And to be able to do something like this means a very strong understanding of the principles of positional chess, which I hope would be coming clear to you through the positions that we'll be looking at. I hope you like this video. If so, please do like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.